Hi, my friends. Welcome to the Swinny Switch Effect. I'm Cori, and I'm here today with this Stitch with Me. It's Monday. I'm actually recording this on Sunday night, but hopefully this will be ready to go and release in the morning so that I will have a video up on Monday. I'll be working on this lighthouse, Christmas lighthouse that I got from Paintsomeway back in January. This is an 11 count cross stitch, and it's 40 centimeters by 50 centimeters. I started this in July, but I didn't do very much at all on it. And this is one of the cross stitch patterns I took with me on my little trip in case I had a chance to stitch much. And honestly, I put about 2 strands in it, and I learned my lesson. If you're gonna try and stitch in a hotel room, you need to bring your own light. So yeah, that didn't work very well. Gunther's here. He's wants to rub against a phone, and I don't want him to do that because it'll make you guys all dizzy. Gunther, you need to get in my lap. Come on. You can come down here. Come here. There you go. There you go. That's a good boy. That's a good boy. Yeah, that's a good boy. Okay. Anyway, he heard me start talking, so he had to come. This is what I've done on my little Christmas lighthouse. I think I had the outline done before I started. Had a little tiny bit of red done. Got there. No, sweet boy. And anyway, so I filled up across the top. You can actually see that there are many different colors of blue up here. It's really, even though it looks like blue, it's all confetti. When I just look at it straight on, I don't see it as well as you. You guys, I got my new light. Can you tell a difference? Gunther wants to mess with my step again. Oh, Gunther. Anyway, so this is what I'm looking on, and I thought maybe I'd catch you up on maybe a little bit on our trip and how it went, and I really just let you know we made it safe and sound. I'm going to have to fix that. Hold on. Okay, I think Gunther has finally settled down for a little bit. He is making the chair wiggle. But anyway, that was my stomach crawling. Anyway, okay. I think what I'm going to work on is this color right here in the house. Color number 2 is a red color, and I think that'll be a good color to look at for you. The other one that there's a lot of patches that I could do is either background or white. So anyway, I thought I would pick color number 2 to do on this one, if I can find it, and if I can quit bumping the phone. Gunther just took off. I guess he didn't like my stomach growling. After all that trouble he was causing. And so this is how I pull it off my thread drops, wash drops. After I get it, I don't know what it's caught on. Okay, here we go. It's caught on something. It looks like it's going to cause me some trouble. There we go. Here we go. All right. That's color number 2, which is DMC 304. Oh my goodness. Problems in paradise. Well, I did, as you can tell, I did get, let's see, I did get my light, see, I'm trying to get this a little bit closer up. I don't know what's happening with my phone. It's just acting different. Okay, there we go. I hope that works. Okay. So I did finally get my light put up. It really wasn't that hard once I sat down and did it. I just didn't have the wherewithal to do it the other. I guess it was a week ago when I first got it out. The next day I got it out and I did it, and it was easy. I was just too overwhelmed that other day, I guess. Was not feeling well, and so this new way of where I put my phone isn't working very well because I'm thinking a lot more than I used to. But I think y'all can probably tell that the light put together, I'm using it as well. It is really adding, I think, I don't know how it's going to come across when it's actually recorded and going, but it definitely is making the screen look brighter right now than it used to. So that's a good thing about that light. This is the side of the house that the house part of the lighthouse. So this fits right in with Ava's house is October built. This is one of the ones I pulled out to work on this month. I've already unthreaded my needle. I just kind of hold on to it when I pull it through because I really want to pull on the needle threader and not the thread when I pull it through. That's why I do it that way. Okay. I'll just loop, from my loop start, I just loop it and then pull it down under to get started. So we kind of threw everything together and got it all together to take off on our little trip. Marcy was able to arrange the appointment that she had on Tuesday. She was able to take care of that on Monday. And so we probably, if we'd have been prepared to, we could have taken off on Monday. And there's a part of me that wishes we had. But we didn't. If we had thrown it together and done it, we would have just started out exhausted. That's what would have happened. So we got everything ready on Monday to go, and then we took off early Monday.
Nope.
And it was really a nice trip. We seemed to kind of agree on when to stop. It didn't seem to be any issues when and where we stopped. We just drove until we were so tired, we thought we'd better stop. We pretty much saw that we weren't going to be able to make it all the way in one day and still be functioning. So we stopped about 4 hours out of Chattanooga. I'm trying to think of the name of the place. We were in Alabama. It starts with a T, and it's where the University of Alabama is, whatever that town is. And we stopped there for the night, got up early, and went on into Chattanooga. Daniel was not there. We actually passed each other on the highway because he was transporting all the trucks that the company was selling off to, I don't know where they were taking them, but it was somewhere in Alabama. And so we we figured we were probably passing each other on the highway somewhere around there as we drove into Chattanooga and Daniel was driving out. He didn't get back till 3 a.m. the next morning from that trip. So I didn't even see him the first day we were there. But we were able to stop by. We were able to take the chair to the garage. The garage, it was so funny because the garage had never even gotten word that that chair was being brought. And they were panicking because they were chair short. And there just wasn't communication of what was going on. So they were so happy to see me with that chair because they were trying to figure out how the heck they were to get a chair at such short notice. And, and then I showed up with it. So that was good. But because we were so tired, Marcy and I, I think we went and had lunch. And we were going to go back to the hotel and have a rest. We ended up going back to the hotel and had a rest. We didn't do anything else that day. I think I'm just getting too old for this kind of stuff. And I guess if I had to have done something, I could have. But there was nothing we had to do. There were a few things I had wanted to do that I actually never did. I don't know what that is. I gotta look at it up close. Looks like there's a rope thread. Well, that's probably from another color. Okay. What a mess. Okay, I'm gonna turn it over. It's a white thread. I think that's the canvas because I don't think I've done any white thread. Yes, that's a piece of the canvas. It's a piece of the edge of the shredded, its side is coming out. This one is not a serged one. The DIY kit. Surprise, surprise. Okay. Anyway, so, Daniel, despite the fact that Daniel got back at 3:30, he was up and ready to go. I think it was somewhere around 8, we got up and we went back over to the office and started, talk to people. And then we had a list of things to go and do, and we didn't do half of it. But I'll put some pictures. I put a couple pictures of us. There's a lot of Civil War battleground there. There's a lot of... It was actually where the war started to turn. It was the beginning of the end. The battles that were fought there in Chattanooga. That was when Sherman hadn't been given the order to march, where he did his march to the sea. He had not been given that order yet, but he was part of it, of the battle that raged there in that Chattanooga area. And so that was the beginning of the end of the war for the South in that area. It was kind of interesting. They had a little, Daniel took us up hiking around on that mountain. They had gosh, see, I can't even remember the names of everything. Anyway, part of it was it was Lookout Mountain. That's what it was. So he had us walking around up there on that Lookout Mountain. And, Marcy's got a bad heart, and I'm just plain all out of shape in every which way. And so by the time we did that, we were so tired. And there was a car tour where they had at the Battle of Chickamauga, I think it is, where you can you do the app or you call a number on your phone, and when you get to the certain point, you just punch that number, and you can just sit in your car and look out over the battlefield, and they tell you what happened in that area. So that was kind of cool. We just drove around and did that. And I can't remember if I already said it, but every once in a while I'll put some pictures up. I'll just put a couple pictures up of some of the things we did while we were out and about. One of the things that was really nice was the fall weather. It was beautiful fall tree colors and stuff like that. We don't get that here. We just don't have it here. Maybe a few trees do it, but either everything stays green year round, or it just turns ugly brown. And I'm sorry, you guys are off camera again. I'm getting so bad about that. Carol, don't move your hand. It doesn't matter if you can't see it, just don't move it anyway. So, anyway, it was beautiful. Beautiful. And I could tell that it wasn't going to stay that way much longer, because a lot of it was, the wind started blowing and a lot of those trees were coming down. In fact, the drive around tour where it was kind of like they had small narrow paved roads for that, because it was part of the national park system. When we started it, there weren't hardly any leaves on the ground, but by the time we came around and we wanted to check a couple of things out from the beginning that we wanted to look at again, just to check on them. One of them is there was a battalion from Texas, so we wanted to go see, more information about that. So we had come back around, and I cannot believe how much more leaves were on the ground. How many more leaves? How many more leaves were on the ground? And so I don't think the leaves are going to be up on the trees much longer. But it was really nice while we were there, and on the way home too. Coming through Alabama and Mississippi, there was a lot of fall trees around the highways and such. So nothing really exciting happened, except I got to see Daniel and I got to spend the day with him. And when Marcy and I were both so tired, once you start something like that, you just don't get untired. You just don't get untired till you get home and have a break for a couple days at least, or maybe a week. I don't know how long it's going to take to recover. But yeah, so, and then we ended up needing to come back in a hurry as well. Maybe what I need to do is see if I can move the camera, because this is where I seem to want to stitch. I don't know. Let's see. The problem is I'm trying to get around the camera. That's what the problem is. So whenever I do that, it's when I end up moving it off the camera. So, anyway, I told Daniel, I don't really care what we do. I'm just happy to be with him and around him. And there was one thing that we all really wanted to do, but there's a cave up there, and so it would have required more walking. And I was the one that spoke up and said something like, you guys go do this. Just go do it without me. I'll be happy to just sit here in the car, and I'd love to hear about it when you get back. And they're like, well, we don't, you're not going to do it. We don't want to do it, and all that stuff. And so I was feeling a bit bad about that. And then Marcy told me on the way home, because we saw as we were leaving Chattanooga, I go, look, you can see it up there on the mountain, the entrance of it. They have it all built up really nice with a rock building around it and all that. And I said, look, there it is. I really wish we could have gone see it. I apologize. I'm so sorry I did that. She goes, Carol, I was so glad. I was so glad you. She goes, I didn't want to be with the one to say. I didn't want to be the one without. So she let me be the wimpy, whatever. But I really enjoyed the day. It was a good, nice day to be with family. We had it's kind of worked out good, kind of in a way. I was glad because we were supposed to go back to where Daniel's truck was. His truck was already gone. They had already taken it to the auction that he had been in, and all his stuff was like stacked in a corner of the shop. And so he needed to move back into the new truck. Well, we found out that the new truck wasn't ready, and so at that point we decided to just go to dinner, and he would have to do it the next morning. Well, we were planning to leave the next morning because Marcy needed to get back and recover because of her surgery, was, what we were trying to do. And, but he didn't, his truck wasn't ready, and he needed to put some of that stuff, he needed to sort it, and he wanted to do it while he loaded up his truck. He could sort what went into his truck and what was going to go home with me, because he thought his truck was going to be smaller and he wasn't going to have as much room for all the stuff. I mean, that's his house. Over time, he gradually buys more and more stuff, and just to make his life a little nicer, and he does that till he has so much stuff he can't stand it. And usually he just, next time he comes home, he'll take a bunch of stuff off and leave it here. And, yeah, that's becoming a bad habit. So he had another batch of stuff he wanted to send home, and his truck still wasn't ready when the next morning. And so Daniel just had to go through it best he could. He said he knew there was more stuff, but it was too much of a, it was an ordeal that he couldn't really get to his stuff without making a huge mess. And since he couldn't put it on, anyway, he didn't send that much home with me. And it really turned out that he probably didn't need to send anything home with me. I think there's some stuff he was ready to be rid of anyway. And I did it again. I left my tail too long before I made it short. And I am going to there's another thread that's gotten loose and is trapped up from the side. There's another one. I'm going to have to do the edges on this one. Okay. So, anyway, the biggest thing that he left, he went ahead and sent home with me, he would have had room for. And I'm thinking, if I know my son, he's probably going to go out and buy it again. That's what he's going to do. And it's not something I need here. So, I don't know what. One of these days we'll have a big sale and sell all the stuff he's dumped here. So we ended up with a very, very late start on, was it Friday? And we needed to be back. We didn't have to be back, but we really wanted to be back by 2:30 on Saturday because, well, there was a football game. And I don't think Marcy cared as much as I did about the football game, but it wasn't just us and the football game. My brother-in-law is very much a football game avid fan of the same team, but he didn't know how to work my TV, so he'd be stuck. Turns out it's a football game we'd been better off not watching. But we made it back. We ended up having to stay in Louisiana. Because we weren't, again, 16 hours is hard to do in one day, especially when you don't start early. So we stayed in Alexandria, Louisiana. I do remember that one. That was the weirdest thing is Google Maps, and when we were in Mississippi, they all of a sudden took us off the main highways and sent us down back roads. And we didn't get back on interstate until we got to Houston. And by the time we realized what was happening, it was just as well to keep going the way we're going. I have no idea. Google didn't take us that way. But it was kind of nice because it was really nice country roads that we were traveling, 2-lane, where the trees are almost right up to the edge. It was nice. Although a lot of that was done very, very late at night. The thing that was the most upsetting was, and Marcy didn't tell me till after it was all said and done, but they charged us quadruple what we thought the hotel was going to be. And it turned out that the price that we had seen online was the internet price for one person. So the occupancy, apparently you paid per person the entire rate per person. And so it was that doubled. And she said, I was so tired I didn't care. She says, I cared, but I didn't. She just did it because she didn't want to deal with it if we didn't stay there. And so that hotel room was $160. And honestly, I've stayed in a lot nicer hotels for a lot less than that. That was the biggest thing that made me mad about the whole trip. The car did fine. Everything really, really went smoothly. And we feel blessed, truly blessed. And now Marcy has the heart surgery tomorrow. And just all of you who pray, please pray for her. I think the surgery is a lot more serious than I was led to believe, because we found out she is going to be in intensive care for 2 days afterwards, and she'll be in the hospital for a week. So this is not a simple procedure. They just don't keep people in long anymore if they don't have to. And so, I would really appreciate your prayers. And I want to thank you guys that have been praying for us to keep us safe for this trip. I want to thank you all so much. And I'm so glad I was able to do it. It was a blessing. Glad to see my son and glad to get him there. He said, I don't think he cared as much about the chair as he did get to see us. So, anyway, I want to thank you all. And I don't know what's going to happen this week with my video recording and stuff. I do have PR packages here waiting and ready to be opened and shared with you guys. I just don't know how, my sister's surgery is in town and that's quite a bit of ways away. So I don't know how much time I'm even going to be here at home. And so if I can pop up some videos, I will, but there's no promises. But again, I want to thank you all for being patient, and I want to thank you for your prayers. And take care, and I'll see you again in the next one.